Another title sequence which we looked at as a group was the title sequence to the Number 23 film. When we looked at this, although we liked certain aspects of it, it wasn't one that we drew kind of too much inspiration from and too many kind of elements of this title sequence. It was definitely kind of too simplistic, as you watched it, you weren't exposed to too much of the narrative. So it was very difficult to kind of tell or understand the narrative which was going to be in the film. Whereas obviously in our brief it does say to explain some narrative, and obviously we would like to do that to fulfil the brief. So obviously showing not having any of the narrative in the opening sequence won't help us at all. All that was shown in this title sequence was this kind of paper, this kind of parchment paper, I suppose, with letters and numbers coming up and blood seeping through. The use of blood definitely gave a kind of sense you were in a thriller, because obviously blood's associated with death and kind of upset, horror, thrillery goodness. And the idea of it gradually kind of seeping through the paper and getting more and more kind of intense definitely made you feel uncomfortable and kind of like on edge. It was very suspense building. We also, as a group, liked the fonts that was used. It's kind of like the typewriter Courier New font, I think, anything like that. It worked well with kind of the stained paper, the kind of parchment colour paper, the old paper. It was very kind of old-fashioned, whereas we aren't really going for an old-fashioned. Although ours set on a farm, which is kind of not very modern, I suppose. It was not. We aren't expecting to kind of be like in the old-fashioned genre. It's not a genre, but we don't want to give the kind of old world kind of feel to it. Overall, we did like it, but obviously it showed no kind of images, more just a computer animated setup of letters and blood seeping through, which obviously we haven't really got the skill set to do, and it wouldn't really be effective what we're trying to convey to the audience, especially if we want to include quite a bit of narrative in our title sequence. So although the idea of using the blood and the letters and numbers coming up, kind of creating the mystery of what these letters and numbers mean, we couldn't draw too much inspiration from this one, I'm afraid.